What is up, guys? Welcome back to another fantasy football video. This week we're going to be covering game week 5 and just going through how the team did, and then we're going to be moving on to game week 6 predictions and just sort of general predictions going forward. Um, yeah, let's just jump straight into how we did in game week 5, and also probably just have a quick review of game week 4 as well, because I wasn't able to make a video back then. But yeah, I mean, game week 4 went okay. I did take a -8 hit, and also I took a -8 hit this week as well. Not for game week 5, but for game week 6 coming up. The reason being is because I wanted to get in Bamford and Sarr, and it sort of paid off this week. It didn't pay off last week, but it paid off a little bit this week because Sarr did well. So maybe more or less 8 points off 15. So he did okay. I don't like taking -8 hits or even just -4 hits, but it paid off this week. So hopefully going forward it will pay off again. He's got 2 good fixtures coming up. Newcastle at home and Leeds away. So yeah, I mean, so bringing in players for a -8 hit is okay so long as it pays off. That kind of goes without saying, but with Sarr, I thought that maybe it'd pay off. I happened to get a little bit lucky and it did. But going forward, I just wanted to have a look at the team because I have just brought in Lukaku and taken out Fernandes for Pogba, and I also took out Dyer for Ben White. The reason being is because I know that going forward I'm going to be captaining Lukaku quite a lot. So if you look at all these green fixtures, I'm not going to be captaining Fernandes for those. I'm going to probably be captaining Lukaku, so it's worth the -8 point hit. If I'm going to be captaining him, he's going to be getting me points. That's the risk we're going to be taking. Obviously, basically the captain is going to switch between Salah and Lukaku. So that's really the plan going forward. I've not got Ronaldo. It's something I'm considering bringing him in, but just working around getting my team to work around him is difficult. So that's the team for now. I'm quite happy with it. And going forward, I think we'll do okay in terms of rank. We're doing okay in terms of overall rank. It's not bad at all. But if we can try and break into that top 100,000 over the next 2 or 3 weeks, that'd be really good. And then from the Christmas period, we can then move on, try and break into the 10k. So yeah, let's have a look at the fixtures for game week 6. So first up, we've got Chelsea versus Man City. Obviously, Chelsea and Man City have played each other a few times, and Chelsea tend to come out on top. But it's just one of those games which is always close. There's never like an out-and-out winner in these games, but I still think Chelsea will win. I think it'll be probably, I'm going to predict like a 2-0 to Chelsea, because I think that they're still a very solid team. They pretty much comfortably wiped the floor with Spurs. That was a good game as well, but I do think that Chelsea will win this game comfortably. I think it will be 2-0. I think City they're missing the striker at the end of the day, and if you're missing a striker, you're not going to score goals. So yeah, I'm predicting a Chelsea 2-0 win. Man United versus Aston Villa. I think Man United have done really well over the past few fixtures. They did get a little bit lucky against West Ham. They do look like they're struggling in terms of creativity a little bit, despite having Pogba and Fernandes. A lot of the balls going into Ronaldo, there's not enough balls going into Ronaldo, I think, but with Ronaldo there, you just can't, what's the word, write them off in any fixture. So I'm going to predict a Man United win here. I'm going to go with, let's go with 3-1. I think there'll be quite a few goals here. Aston Villa's defence is pretty shaky, so I'm going to go with a 3-1 win to Man United. Everton versus Norwich. Everton are a tricky team to predict, and so are Norwich, especially given that Norwich could turn around and have a bounce back in form. But Everton, difficult team to predict, especially with Rafa. So they're missing Pickford and they're missing Calvert-Lewin, and potentially one other player. I'm not too sure who, but I feel like they are missing someone else as well. I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw here. I don't think it'll be as clear cut as it seems. I don't think, everyone would expect Everton to win, but I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw. I think the Norwich are going to try and bounce back in form, and they're most likely going to start against Everton, I reckon. So yeah, I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw. Leeds versus West Ham. Two decent teams. I think that West Ham probably the better team out of the two, but West Ham are usually better at home than they are away. So I'm going to go with a Leeds win here. I think that Leeds, they need to turn around in form. And also, I just have a feeling that they'll start to pick up some form now once they've got that home form coming. If you were to look at their recent fixtures, they did have 3 away games, and pretty much all their away games didn't go that great. And their home game was against Liverpool and Everton, and they're obviously going to lose against Liverpool, and they drew against Everton. So I think that they can do well against West Ham at home. But I'm going to go with a 2-1 win to Leeds. I don't think there'll be loads of goals, but I think that Leeds will win at the end of the day. Okay, so moving on, we've got Leicester versus Burnley. I think that Leicester are a tricky team to predict this season. They don't seem to be as hot form as they previously have. But at the end of the day, like, they're still a good team. Burnley are a struggling team who have not invested anything over the summer, and they're really, that's really showing in their form. And they do always tend to pick up more towards the latter of the season if they do pick up form. So I'm going to go with a comfortable Leicester win here. I'm going to go with 3-0. I think that Leicester will comfortably beat Burnley. Moving on, we've got Watford versus Newcastle. Watford, another difficult team to predict, but Newcastle are probably the weakest team in the league at the moment. They're just a bit all over the place. And they do look very vulnerable to the counter-attack and open play. So I'm going to go with a Watford win here. I'm going to go with... I don't know, actually. I think that's tricky. I think that, in fact, no, if I'm going to go with a draw, I'm going to go with a 2-2 draw. Despite Newcastle being the weakest team in the league, in my opinion, I think that Watford are just equally as unpredictable. So I think, and Newcastle can score goals. So I'm going to go with the 2-2 draw. And I reckon hopefully Sarr will score as well. Slightly biased, but I hopefully he will. Brentford versus Liverpool. This is a tricky one to predict because I've been waiting for Brentford to be letting in a load of goals sooner or later, but they just don't seem to. They seem to be still pretty good defensively. Ever since that first match, I always thought that they did look really vulnerable, but no team's properly taken advantage of that vulnerability yet. And I do think if a team does, I think it would most likely be Liverpool. So just quickly, let's have a look at Brentford's previous fixtures. They have won at home to Arsenal, drawn away to Crystal Palace, drawn away to Aston Villa, lost at home to Brighton, and won away at Wolves. Now, those are pretty okay fixtures, but now they're coming up against an actually really good team. I think that Liverpool are going to put quite a few past Brentford. I think this could be quite a high-scoring game. I think I'm going to go with like a 5-1 to Liverpool here. I think that Brentford look vulnerable, and no one's really taken advantage of those vulnerabilities yet. I think we're going to go with 5-1 to Liverpool. I know that's a bit of a high score line, but I just have a feeling this will be a high-scoring match. Okay, so we've got Southampton versus Wolves. Another tricky team to predict, both these teams, Wolves and Southampton. But I'm going to go with a... tricky. I'm going to go with a 1-0 win to Southampton. I think that at the moment that they just seem to be... I think they seem to be picking up some form. I guess they've had 2 draws, four draws even, 4 draws and 1 loss. I think now is around about the time to actually pick up some form for Southampton. They don't seem to concede loads of goals. The most they conceded was the first game, and obviously that's the first game. They've picked up a bit more fitness now, the team, so I'm expecting them to get some form of result. So I'm going to go with a 1-0 win to Southampton. Arsenal versus Spurs. Another tricky team to predict. Arsenal, they are due to pick up some form, but Spurs are no slouches either. But having said that, I mean, they're missing their best player, Kane. He's not in great form. Son's just come back from injury, and their general team still looks a bit shaky. I mean, 2-3-0 losses is not a good sign, So, but despite saying that, I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw. I think that Derby's form goes out the window, and it really just comes down to which team plays better on the day. So, I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw. I think that it will be a pretty even match this game. Crystal Palace versus Brighton. I think Crystal Palace have been a really odd team to predict. I really didn't expect much from them, but they seem to have made some really good signings. So I guess, having said that though, Brighton they seem to be the team in form right now. but it's just so difficult to predict these kind of games. I do think it'll be quite a low scoring game, this. I'm going to go with a 0-0. I'm not too confident in that prediction, to be honest, but I'm going to go with a 0-0 because I feel like these two teams, they can both struggle to score goals, despite having good teams. I mean, despite having good players, I think that Crystal Palace will want to go on the front foot, and Brighton will want to retain possession. And what that will mean is that there'll be a lot of back and forth, I reckon. But I still think it'll be a 0-0. That's just what my gut's telling me. So I'm going to go with a 0-0 for that. So those are my predictions for game week 6. Hopefully you'll find them useful. But going forward, I just wanted to have a quick look at the fixtures and the players that I've chosen because of those fixtures. So I wanted to first look at Leeds. So the reason I've gone with Bamford is because of these great fixtures here. So I've got 3 home games in the next 4 fixtures, and their away game is against Southampton, which is really good. They've also got an away game against Norwich, home Leicester, and they've pretty much not got any difficult fixtures until game week 16, and that's around the Christmas period when I'm probably going to wildcard. So this is a really good opportunity to cash in on your Leeds players. Bamford, Rafinha, and maybe Harrison could be good picks. So personally, I'll go with Bamford because of the penalties. Probably he's still on penalties, and also he just seems to get in the right positions and take shots in the box. So I think Bamford's a good pick. Lukaku I've already been through, but just to reiterate, he's got really good fixtures from game week 7 to around the same period. In fact, he's got pretty much good fixtures even over the Christmas period. So I'd say up until around game week 21. These fixtures, these 4 fixtures, I don't think they're as tough as they seem, especially for Chelsea. So yeah, still very confident on the Lukaku pick. And then obviously we've got Salah. So Salah, he has got a few tough fixtures, so United away and City at home, but I still think that he's got good fixtures and definitely some capital fixtures. So Brentford, Watford, Brighton, Southampton. He's still got some really good fixtures there to captain him. So yeah, maybe keep Salah, and if you want to downgrade, I'd probably go to Jota, but I'm going to be definitely keeping an eye on Salah as well. If I do downgrade him, like I say, I'll probably go from Salah to Jota, and then I'll try and find a way of getting Ronaldo for Perica. It'll probably have to be Grealish or Benrahma, who let's just play around with that now. So if I was to try and get Ronaldo in, it would have to be Jota in. It would have to be a 4.5, I think. Let's just quickly jump to midfielders. So it would have to be a 4.5, and then hopefully we may still be able to afford Ronaldo. So just about we can afford Ronaldo. So that's really what would have to happen, is you'd have to have that 3-4-3, but pretty much all mid-priced midfielders or mid to low-priced midfielders. That's the only way I could fit Ronaldo in, really. But that's definitely an option, because I do think that Salah, if you're not captaining him, he's not worth the price tag. And at the moment, Ronaldo is just so consistent, so easily capable of getting a hat-trick. So really, that's what my team could be looking like over the next week or two. That 3-4-3 of Ronaldo, Lukaku, Bamford, and then obviously these players in the middle, and I've got good defence as well. So I think that this is a solid team. If we just look at captain's fixtures, there's not loads of captain fixtures, but I guess if you look over the Christmas period, you're going to want Ronaldo, no doubt about that, in your team. So yeah, that's my predictions for teams for game week 6, but also going forward, Chelsea and Leeds are really the ones to target for me. I would steer clear of. I'm probably going to get rid of a West Ham player at some point. I think West Ham are going to have to dip in form at some point. But I would just stay clear of the lower league teams. Like, probably going to have to get rid of Sarr at some point as well. Obviously, just stay clear of the lower league teams, and maybe even stay clear of Spurs and maybe Arsenal. Despite Arsenal's good fixtures, Ben White was only there as like a backup option because I needed that 0.1 million. So yeah, I mean, but yeah. So those are my predictions for game week 6. I will be doing a predictions video for game week 7 to the Christmas period, and that's going to be more of a generalized video, so helping people make picks for the longer term. So stay tuned for that, and until then, take care.